State, and especially King County. A lot of us probably here today, myself included, got involved with the party in 2017 after seeing the national election results then. And I'd imagine we're going to see a lot of people like that this time around as well. And all of you being here, making sure our local party orgs are ready to help new people get plugged in is really encouraging because we are going to see them. What we're doing today is the culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people. Planning for this meeting began in September once we received certified election results from the county elections team. The reorg date was announced in September, as well as a call for leadership interest. The recommended rules were voted on in October, and a leadership information session was held. People interested in leadership roles were asked to volunteer with our Get Out the Vote activities, and since the election in November, people interested in roles have been talking to each other to find great candidates for every role. In some cases, we're lucky enough to have multiple qualified candidates for a role, and today we'll finalize who will lead our party these next 2 years. We've also had over 20 volunteers working behind the scenes to send out letters and certificates, draft and send out emails and text message, helping out right now with credential code requests and staff all of the Zoom functions today. So thanks to all the volunteers for your hard work, and for the rest of you as PCOs taking time out of your Sunday to make democracy happen today. Now, for those of you who have been to these meetings before, I'm sorry I won't be in the group chats this year. I will really miss the snark and camaraderie as we wonder how much of our day this meeting will take. Today, it's my job to be the one trying to make sure nobody has to worry if they'll be able to make their dinner plans. And for those of you who haven't done this before, welcome. We're really glad you're here and getting involved. And in case you hadn't heard, party politics can come with a side of drama, and there's a chance we have some today. It's pretty normal for this meeting, and whatever comes up, we're all going to work through it together. This is not my meeting. This is the body's meeting, and I am here facilitating to get to what the body wants to do. To prepare everyone for what we're doing today and to be respectful of everyone's time, I want to be really clear on what our agenda is and what it isn't. What we're doing here is electing officers to lead the organization for the next 2 years. These are volunteer positions that work closely together to guide our work, and it's important unpaid labor. So thanks to all those who have done it and those who are willing to do so moving forward. There are a few things that are not on our agenda that have a history of popping up at these meetings, and I want to be clear about what I hope we all agree does not need to be discussed today. The agenda does not include relitigating anybody who's been banned from party business because of their own behavior. These folks have been through a democratic process, and in order to protect others, they are no longer welcome in our meetings. Any elected PCO has the ability to vote, and if any banned PCOs are nominated for elections today, I will rule the motion out of order. The agenda does not include litigating the nature of the officer campaigns, including whether or not a slate of candidates is a good or a bad thing. Every candidate is up for election, and our job today is electing them, not debating how they campaigned. The agenda also doesn't include any general complaints about the national, state, or local party, people in the party, or how the party has handled business in the past. We have processes for all of those, and reorg is not a part of that process. So if anything's brought up that isn't related to the agenda today, I will be ruling it out of order. And I'm going to need all of your help because, again, this isn't my meeting, it's yours. And if a ruling of the chair is challenged, it will go to the body for a vote. And I would very much appreciate your help in respecting everyone's time and getting through the business on our agenda as efficiently as possible. Yesterday, Snohomish County finished their reorg in 1 hour. Now, I'd like to think we could get done in under 2 hours if we work together. And I'd like to get a sense of the body. So we're going to do a practice vote if you're still paying attention, because I've been talking for a minute. If you support this general approach and you would like to get outside while it's still light out, could you please raise your hand? All right. I see some hands. Since this is a practice vote, we're not going to wait the full 5 minutes. All right. Team, can we mass lower everyone's hands? Look at that. All right. If anybody does not, because we vote on both sides, support this general approach and you want to stay here till dark, could you please raise your hands? There's always one or two. Hi, Wes. All right, team, we can clear them. So thanks, everyone. I appreciate your support today. So let's have a meeting. And we're going to begin the meetings today with an acknowledgement of tribal lands. That video will come at some point in time.
We don't have the audio. I'm still not getting the audio.
I think right now we should all assume this is a lovely acknowledgement of tribal lands, because it is. All
Sorry,
right.
that's my bad. I'll restart it with the audio this time. I apologize.
Okay, we'll give it one more go. And if this is
Suquamish tribe, Duf Akwa.
I think that is working.
Hash Chash Askol. It is good we are together. We acknowledge that we are on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish peoples, who have reserved treaty rights to this land, including the Duwamish, Duf Duabsh, Suquamish tribe, Duf Akwabsh, Muckleshoot Indian tribe, Buckleshoot, and Snoqualmie Indian tribe, Stokwabuh. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived and continue to live here since time immemorial. And we thank you for taking the time to know and understand the true history of this place, and to practice allyship in taking care of these shared lands. In good health. Hoi.
For those who are unable to attend the training sessions held earlier this week and this morning, we're now going to briefly go over how to participate and vote in this virtual meeting. Do we know if that's going to be Scott or Melissa today?
I think that's probably going to be me.
Fantastic. In that case, I will turn it over to you.
All right, can you see my screen?
I can.
Excellent. So quickly, accommodations. We have closed captioning available for everybody in Zoom. You should have a button at the bottom of your screen for closed captioning. We will be placing links to written materials in the chat. Dial-in only audio and balloting has been provided to those requested. And we had a number of people who said the accommodation they most needed was a short meeting because of other commitments. And we are trying, and we will need your help. In terms of community agreements, again, together we share the responsibility for staying on time. We are here all as volunteers, both for the PCOs and everybody behind the scenes. There are over 20 people working to make this meeting smooth for you. Please be understanding of technical issues or people who are trying to be on camera and have issues in the background. Respect the meeting rules. If you don't know, ask. We'll talk about where to ask questions. The primary way to get help during this meeting is to email techhelp@KCDEMS, credentials@KCDEMS, or tally@KCDEMS. So depending on what kind of question you have, there are different people assigned to those emails to be able to get in and help you get whatever issue is resolved. We will use the chat as a way to provide official information. And so I've put in some notes here about what the in-person equivalent would be. So if we were handing out packets when you signed in with the agenda, any information, candidate statements, all of that. We are putting that in the chat, and that is why the chat is off, so that we can provide that to you and it doesn't get really full. Those of you who were in the training before, you saw how quickly it can move with everybody participating. We also will use the chat to cure ballot issues. So for those of you who participated earlier in the test ballot, please do keep an eye on the chat, because you might get a message from a tally member. We will use the Q&A feature as a way to seek the floor for nominations, motions, points. The in-person equivalent would be a sergeant-at-arms who is regulating access to the microphones. We will use raised hand for seconding and credential votes. The in-person equivalent would be raising your credentials. So when you got the colored pieces of paper in an in-person meeting, it would be, and that's to allow these votes to move faster than a balloted vote moves. And then finally, it's optional, but we have discus for sidebar or informal questions and discussions. And that's essentially if you wanted to be able to whisper to somebody next to you or go to the back to the check-in table and ask a question, you can use discus for that. So really quickly, on a desktop, the chat will be here. On a phone, the chat will be here. I've been told that some people are having issues finding it. Sometimes there's a more button with 3 dots. When you open the chat, it will take up your entire screen. If you want to go back to being able to see the video, you can hit close to move back and forth between the chat and the video. Closed captioning, again, you should have this button at the bottom, and it will put the text at the bottom of your screen of what is being said. If you want to raise your hand, hit the raised hand button. If it says lower hand here, that means your hand is currently up. So please leave it in the raised hand version of this, unless you are seconding or voting for what Mason is calling for. Voting will do balloted votes for the officer elections. Your email reminder from yesterday would have the test ballot if you want to go try that. Otherwise, our next vote will be for chair. Parliamentary procedure basics, most people will not need these today, but we want you to know what they are. Some of the formal Roberts rules includes things like I nominate Daisy Duck for chair. I will just note, please do not nominate somebody that has not asked you to nominate them. And please do not nominate somebody that you do not plan to vote for or do not expect other people to vote for. Motion, something like I move we adopt the agenda. Second, these types of things will be going into the Q&A or request for information that warrants interrupting the meeting. And then question of privilege, I need another minute to vote, for example, point of order. So the request for information is a question about the facts affecting the current action. Is there a gender requirement? Is this vote a simple majority? Point of order is if you believe a rule is not being followed. Maybe the agenda says we vote for treasurer next, or the motion has not been seconded. A question of privilege is that there is a situation affecting a right of privilege of an individual or the meeting as a whole. So perhaps I cannot hear the chair. I have not been able to vote yet. In order to do any of that parliamentary procedure, you'll use this Q&A button. So for instance, Daisy Duck here nominated Mickey Mouse for chair. The chair noted that it was seconded by Donald Duck and duly nominated. So again, optional, but on the kcdems.org's Reorganization Meeting Hub, you can sign up for Discus. You can use a Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook login, or you can use a username and password. You will need to verify your email in order to make that work, but that gives you a place to go talk to other PCOs during the meeting. We have a number of people here, so I will skip the credentialing thing, and that is the end of this. So I will turn it back to you, Mason.
Thank you, Melissa. All the other resources you need to participate in this meeting are online at the King County Democrats Virtual Meeting Hub. A link to the meeting hub is now being posted in the chat window. I'm going to pause so time can sync up. And if you can't access the meeting hub, you can email techhelp@kcdems.org for assistance. Closed captioning should be visible. If there's issues with it, please email accommodations@kcdems.org for assistance. and I may have just repeated Melissa, but I'd rather be safe. The chair will now appoint temporary officers for this meeting. I appoint Cap Pipkin as our secretary, Scott Forbes as our parliamentarian, Marty Ross as our tally lead, and Tara Gallagher as our sergeant at arms. These appointments will remain in effect for this meeting. The chair will now, I'm going to just say I, because it feels weird to say the chair. I will now request a report from the Credentials Committee.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Getting a report. All right, we have the, let's see, 1,154 elected PCOs in King County. And by Article 6, Section 6.4 of our bylaws, quorum shall consist of 10% of our elected PCOs, which is 116. Currently in the meeting, we have over 350 PCOs present, and so we are meeting quorum.
Fantastic. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. The proposed agenda for today's meeting was posted to the King County Democrats website and emailed to you in advance. Copies of the proposed agenda are available at the link being posted in the chat window. And I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda with some flexibility to allow for guest speakers, which you can make by submitting "so moved" as a question in the Q&A window. All right, I have a motion from Brian Gunn to approve the agenda, and I am going to consider the other motion from Heather Yangling as a second. So it has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All right.
Mason, note there are 6 people with hands raised.
All right,
Or
thank
only
you.
one, it looks like, sorry.
I am going back and forth between the Q&A and that. We jump back to participants. All right. Tom. All right, Tom, we can't hear you.
He's lowered his hand.
Shep Soluski, is your hand up because you would like to discuss the motion on the floor?
My hand is lowered.
Oh, all right. And Azim, I see your hand up as well. Would you like to speak to the motion? Or are you like, how is my hand up? I should fix that. All right.
I just want to confirm that I'm counted as a delegate that's participating in the meeting and not just on the webinar.
Melissa,
have
what
I
would be
been
the
approved?
appropriate contact path for him
Yes,
to figure that out?
Everybody who is in here has been credentialed and approved to vote in this meeting, unless they have been renamed, but that's a different issue. If you are here and your name has not been renamed, you are credentialed for today.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I will now ask if there are any objections to approving the agenda. If you do have an objection, please submit it as a Q&A in the Q&A window. All right, seeing no objections, the agenda is approved without objection. All right, next up, we need to adopt the meeting rules. So I would love to entertain a motion to adopt the meeting rules in the Q&A window, please. All right, I have a motion from Ravi. Would anybody like a second? All right, I have a motion from Robbie. I have a second. Oh, hang on. From Gary, it looks like. Would anybody like to speak to the motion? All right, I see no hands raised. All right, does anybody object to the motion? We're going to go that direction here. Colin, do you object? Colin, I see your hand raised. All right, I'm going to ask anybody to put it in the Q&A window if you have an objection, and I'm going to give that another 20 seconds or so. All right. Seeing none, we are going to consider the meeting rules adopted. The next item of business is the election of the county chair. At the start of this meeting, only one candidate, Beth Baisley, had filed for nomination for this position, and I'm going to open the floor for other nominations, which you can make using that same Q&A window. Are there any other nominations? All right, going once, going twice. All right, seeing no other nominations are now closed. Even though there is only one candidate in this race, we're going to conduct this election by ballot to make sure that our voting process runs smoothly. So you can vote by using the link posted in the chat window, and you may vote for Beth Baisley or abstain.
Okay, we'll have that shortly in the chat window.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, and while we are doing that, oh, and I see Senator Wilson is here. We are going to have Senator Claire Wilson speak to us for a few minutes. As soon as the link gets posted, the timer will start and we will all have 5 minutes to vote. Senator Wilson, I'll turn the floor over to you. Thank you for coming.
Hey, thanks so much. And I'm not going to get in the way of you in voting. I think you could do both at the same time. But I just want to really thank Melissa and all of you for inviting me to come just to share a bit of information. First and foremost, though, I want to just give you all my deepest appreciation for all your work over this last election cycle. And I'm just incredibly proud to live in a state that cares deeply about everyone who lives here. And we know we still have work to do. And I think most importantly, our kids in our schools need us now. More importantly, more now than ever before. And so just want to talk a little bit about the fact that next year we're going to have at least 48 school board seats that are up for election across the 20 school districts that cover King County. And we have 296 school districts, and the largest obviously is Seattle. And it is incredibly important right now because a lot of our schools have failed their bonds in the last year, and we need to help not only our crumbling buildings, but we need to help our scholars and the staff that work within those buildings. I also will say school boards and school directors are the largest elected body in the state of Washington, over 1,500 elected positions, also why it's critically important. Rep. Stonier, who represents Southwest Washington, has pre-filed a bill to align the bond requirements with other elections at 50% to pass. Right now it's supermajority. I'll say keep your eyes on that, but also the possibility of having that go between potentially 50 and 55%, kind of find a sweet spot where we know we'll have support, if we can, from in a bipartisan way. And then I myself am keeping my eyes out, and hope you will as well. Moms for Liberty and similar groups have made inroads in many school boards across the US and in our state as well. And things like book bans and other kinds of concerning practices, especially around our most vulnerable youth, is a concern. An issue is that the state board, the Washington State School Directors Association, which represents all of those school districts, changed the way they work when they're creating their legislative priorities. And now, instead of a weighted vote based on the size of district, every district has the same vote, which means our smallest school districts, and oftentimes our most conservative, have the same vote and the same weighted vote as Seattle Public Schools, our largest school district in this state that serve thousands and thousands of students more than our small districts. And so the work of our medium and our large school districts is going to be critically important to keep, again, student protections and the safety of our scholars, I think, front of mind. You'll also see a piece of legislation responding to the Parental Rights Initiative that the state passed last session. And that piece of legislation will fix, if you will, the 10% of that initiative that wasn't currently in statute the way it should have been written. And we want to continue to assure protections, especially for our brothers, sisters, and siblings who identify as LGBTQ and gender expansive, and most particularly our transgender youth. All of our schools are underfunded, even though you see a drop in enrollment because of birth rates going down. That does not mean that it's a drop in what it's going to cost to educate our young people. We have never fully funded education. We need to do that. So you'll see key decisions made this year in a really challenging financial situation. One of the most important priorities being K-12 education, specifically what you'll hear being called the big three: special education funding, MSOC, which is materials, supplies, and operating costs, which are fixed costs that have continued to increase regardless of whether you have 5 students or 15 students. You have to heat a room the same way. And then transportation. I guess the last things I would say, the other things to keep your eyes open on are our state's continued focus on protections from whatever may come down from the new federal administration, continued work on housing security for all, and conversations related to possible revenue sources. So again, I think elections at every single level matter, but our young people need to have our focus and our attention, and hope that you will take me up on that offer and become active at whatever level is important to you. And again, any kinds of questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or any other of your electeds that are at the state level and tell us what's important to you. And Mason, I'm passing it back to you.
All right. I would love to ask our tally committee how many minutes it's been, because I didn't start a timer.
Nor did I, actually. We're still moving through and curing ballots. We'll probably need a few more minutes at least.
All right, sounds good. I am going to mute myself and turn my video off so you guys don't all get to just stare at me while I'm not doing anything this whole time. And we'll be back in a couple minutes with results. I've got a good feeling Beth's got this, though. Absolutely, Melissa. Please do. Maybe we could save it for the next one. In the interest of time, tell you what, why don't we play the video until the tally committee's done?
Or we could do cats. This is nice.
I mean, I'm not complaining about this. Wes, I see your hand.
Yes, sorry to interrupt. I'm on the credentials team, and we're
Okay.
getting a few emails from folks who are asking about their vote being accepted or not being accepted. To save myself copying and pasting this to several people, if you do have a problem with voting, could you please email tally@kcdems.org? Credentialed volunteers don't have access to ballots or voting data, so we'll just have to redirect you anyway.
All right.
And I'll say
Next
that.
up.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that if you don't hear from us, then that's a good thing, and we're not having problems with your ballot. But keep an eye on the chat. We're still attempting to reach out to folks that are doing things like using the wrong name or the wrong credential code. So, easiest way to resolve that at this point is we want you to cast a new ballot. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks.
I have heard people say that there is a point of order, and it looks like Samuel Rise in the Q&A has moved that Allison Fine be fully reinstated to participate in this and future meetings with all rights as a duly elected precinct committee officer. I am going to rule that motion out of order, as that is not on our agenda today. All right, and Sam is appealing that to the body. So we are going, hang tight real quick. I have a script for this somewhere. All right, can we do this with raise hands, team?
Yes.
All right. In that case, I am going to pick this to the body. So everybody get ready to raise your hands. And if you want to support the meeting of the chair and not have a discussion about a banned PCO, please raise your hand right now. All right. We are well over half of the members in attendance. We're at 251 and climbing out of 410.
There's a call to
But
repeat the question.
I'm sorry.
There's calls to repeat the question.
The question is if you want to support the ruling of the chair and not discuss the banned PCO and that reinstatement, to please raise your hand right now.
Okay, Sam also raises a point of order that he was not allowed to speak.
Oh, you know what? You're right. We'll do a how many minutes, Scott?
I believe it's 2.
All right, we will do 2 minutes. Sam, does somebody want to promote Sam to be a panelist?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Testing, how's that working?
That works great. All right, Sam, your 2 minutes is starting now.
Thank you. Members, I'm appealing the chair's ruling that this motion is out of order. My name's Sam Rice. I'm the chair of the 30th Legislative District. My motion is to reinstate Allison Fine, who's one of our members and PCOs of the 30th LD, to fully participating in this meeting, which is directly the concerns of the rights of one of the integrity of this organization, I believe. The bylaws and rules of this body do not explicitly prohibit such a motion that I'm making right now. It's well within the authority of this assembly to determine the standing of its members and address matters of fairness and equity. The member has served the disciplinary measures imposed upon her, and the additional stipulation put upon her regarding an apology raises subjective and enforceability concerns, in my opinion. Denying her reinstatement based on this without a vote from the body undermines the democratic principles which we say we stand for. The assembly, not the chair, should be deciding this matter. So I urge you to vote no on sustaining the chair's ruling and allow this motion to proceed for debate and decision on the body. Thank you.
All right, Melissa, did you have a question?
The ban.
Sorry, we cut the very end of that.
Could the parliamentarian provide the terms of the ban?
The terms of the ban were that the member was banned from attending KCDCC meetings for at least 2 years and until an acknowledgement of her behavior and apology was received.
All right, and that has not been fulfilled, parliamentarian?
Correct.
All right. Does anybody want to speak on the other side of this motion for 2 minutes? There are so many hands up already that just unmute yourself and say something if you would like. All right. It does not appear that anybody wants to speak on the other side of this. So now we are going to vote. If you vote to support the ruling of the chair and not relitigate this banned PCO in this meeting, please raise your hand right now.
Excuse me, Mason, all those hands are raised from an original vote. So do you want us to lower them and then re-raise them?
They were lowered. They're new now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we were down to nothing. All right, we are still climbing a little bit. We're at 241 right now. 243, 246, 247. That's well over half. Parliamentarian, do we need to do a vote in the other direction, even though we are well over half of the members in attendance?
We do not need to when the outcome is certain.
All right, well, in that case, the ruling of the chair is supported and we are going to move on. And now, if we could get somebody to lower everybody's hand for them so they don't have to do it themselves, that would be lovely. And does the tally committee have a result for our chair vote?
Yes, we do. So yes, we have counted 356 ballots, with Beth Baisley getting 100% of the ballots. There were also 19 votes that were cast as abstain. But those do not count toward the denominator. So Beth wins with 100% of the vote.
Fantastic. Marty, thank you very much. All right. The next items of business are actually, hold on. I don't want to skip this part. Beth Baisley is our new county chair. And Beth, I would love for you to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Mason. And thank you all for your confidence. Thank you for stepping up to lead your precincts. PCOs are the backbone of our party, and together we'll lead as an example to counties across the state and, in fact, the whole country who are grappling with the fight for democracy. We can show them what world-class grassroots organizing is and how impressive the power of a PCO can be to every neighborhood. I believe in the power of strong and complete communication, transparency and policy development and planning, and most importantly, in the strength of our communities. By working together with the conviction of our shared values and enthusiasm for a bright future, we'll create it together, and together we'll lead the way forward. Thank you for supporting me to serve you, your precinct, your LD, and all of us in King County. I'm looking forward to working alongside you and leading our county organization in the spirit of service. With humble grace and enthusiasm for the work ahead, I say, let's get going. And with that, Mason, I hand it back to you.
All right. Chair, since this is now your organization, just to make it official, would you like to appoint permanent officers for this meeting?
Yes. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I would like to take this moment to make sure I say it correctly.
Always good.
And the chair would now like to appoint permanent officers for this meeting. The chair appoints you, Mason Thompson, as meeting chair, Kat Pipkin as secretary, Scott Forbes as parliamentarian, Marty Ross as the tally lead, and Tara Gallagher as sergeant at arms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Baisley. And congratulations. I just realized I have my Zoom meeting up there, so every time I say something to somebody, I look that way, and you guys are probably wondering why. Now you know. All right, the next items of business are the election of the other officers of the King County Democrats. In the interest of time, I am going to open and close the floor for nominations for each of these offices, and then we will hear candidate speeches and vote only for the races that are contested. What this means is that people will not be able to run for multiple offices if they run for and are not elected to the first office they ran for. And before we take this course, I would just like to ask the body if there's anyone interested in running for multiple races throughout this process. And I am looking at the Q&A. And there's the chat. All right, I am not seeing anything, so I am going to move forward by opening the floor for nominations for state committee members. At the start of this meeting, candidates have been nominated for these two positions. We have had Martin Cheney, Lisa Rivera, and Drew Estep running for two positions. Are there any other nominations? All right. Seeing none, nominations are now closed for state committee member. I am now, wait, Melissa. Melissa, does that mean when we get to
Speeches,
talking points?
Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, no, you're fine. Feel free to interrupt me if you need to. All right, next up, we are going to open the floor for nominations for first vice chair. At the start of this meeting, we had two candidates. We had Eddie Chang and Josh Vaughn. The floor is now open for other nominations. Are there any other nominations? All right, I am going to open up. There's a point of order from Brian Gunn saying that 3 calls for nominations are customary. Scott, would you mind speaking to that, please?
Sorry, I was answering a question in the Q&A. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Oh, there's a point of order from Brian Gunn. 3 calls for nominations are customary. And I'm wondering if you could speak to that, please.
It is customary but not required that the chair say, are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed, but it's customary. It's not required.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we're currently open for nominations for first vice chair. Are there any nominations for first vice chair? Are there any other nominations for first vice chair? And third and lastly, I will be closing this soon. Are there any nominations for first vice chair? Seeing none, nominations for first vice chair are closed. I will now open the floor for nominations for vice chair for communications. At the start of the meeting, 2 candidates had filed to run for this, Christopher Katz and Fred Mariscal. Would anybody else like to make a nomination for vice chair for communications? All right. Anybody else? Once more for Vice Chair for Communications. All right. I am going to close nominations for Vice Chair for Communications. And I am going to open the floor for nominations for Treasurer. At the start of this meeting, one candidate had been nominated for this position. It was Diana Phillips. Would anybody else like to make a nomination for Treasurer? I'll ask once more if there are any nominations for Treasurer. I will ask a third time, after which I will close nominations if there are any nominations for Treasurer. All right, I'm going to close nominations for Treasurer, and I'm going to open nominations for Vice Chair for Outreach. At the beginning of this meeting, there was only one candidate that had been nominated for this position, Andrew Ashiofu, and I'm going to open the floor for nominations now. All right. One more call for Vice Chair for Outreach. And a third and final call for nominations for Vice Chair for Outreach. All right, seeing none, I'm going to close nominations for Vice Chair for Outreach, and I'm going to open the floor for nominations for Secretary. At the beginning of this meeting, we had one candidate nominated, Ricky Klein. Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Second ask for nominations for Secretary, please. And a third and final ask for nominations for Secretary. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to close nominations for Secretary, and I am going to open up nominations for Vice Chair for Fundraising. At the beginning of this meeting, we had one person nominated, that was Melissa Taylor. And if anybody would like to make a nomination for Vice Chair for Fundraising, you may do so right now. All right, second ask for nominations for Vice Chair for Fundraising. And a third and final ask for nominations for Vice Chair for Fundraising. All right. Seeing none, I am going to close nominations for Vice Chair for Fundraising. And we are going to move on to the contested races and voting. We are now going to hear for the candidates for state committee members for two. And we had a question earlier, and I just wanted to make this clear to the whole body. Scott, is there a gender requirement for this role?
Sorry, which role?
For state committee member.
Yes, the gender requirement is that the two people who are elected must be of different genders, and each ballot that is cast must be cast for two people of different genders. So under the circumstances, you cannot vote for the two male candidates. You must vote for, well, one male and one female, given the candidates who've been nominated.
All right, fantastic. So there's really no reason for us to hear from Lisa, since she is the only woman who has been nominated. So we need to hear from Martin Cheney and Drew Estep. And Melissa, I believe you said somebody was going to introduce Martin or speak for Martin.
Chris Franco.
All right.
Well, it's shared. So the candidates have 2 minutes to speak and may have other speakers. And in this case, when it is Martin's turn, first Chris Franco will speak, and then Martin will speak.
All right. Chris, are you ready? All right. In that case, I'm turning the floor over to you.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Franco. I'm your outgoing state committee member, and I'm asking you to please vote for Martin Cheney as our next state committee member. I've had the honor of working alongside Martin for the last 5 years, where I've seen him pour his heart and soul into our party. He helped flip the East Side blue. He served as the county's endorsements chair and has helped found the state party's environment and climate caucus. Martin has consistently demonstrated his ability to bring people together, navigate challenging situations, and to be an active and empathetic listener and representative in the organizations he serves in. Please vote for Martin Cheney. Over to you, Martin.
My name is Martin Cheney. I am a progressive grassroots activist with over 20 years of experience building effective local party organizations. During my 10 years as chair of the 45th and 5th LD organizations, I presided over the conversion of those districts from red to blue. My experiences also include representative to the King County Democrats, this body, state committee member from the 5th LD, and endorsements chair of King County. As a Japanese American whose mother was subject to Executive Order 9066, I empathize with the many others who have and continue to face racial discrimination. And with 2 Hispanic granddaughters, I fear for their future, the current political climate. My passion is why I make a better place for them and for you. Since this fall's election, I've been hearing from other progressive grassroots activists that they do not feel the state and national party organizations listen to them. I would like to be an agent for change with the mission of making your voice heard at the state level. We can start by changing the rule for resolutions and constituency caucuses to make sure that the state party is more accessible to grassroots members. I ask for your support to do so.
Martin, you were just like, you guys were bang on time. Like clearly you prepared. All right, next up we have Drew Estet. Drew, are you a panelist? Have you been promoted into the meeting?
I cannot start my video though.
Is that an us thing or is that a you thing?
I was just requested. We're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Thank you for being here, and I am going to start your timer right now.
Thank you. I already know many of you from my work in the party, but for those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Drew Estep. I got involved with the Democratic Party because I grew up in a household where my mom was the sole breadwinner. She started in corporate America, but moved into founding her own business because of the way she was treated as a woman in the workplace in that environment. In 2015, I was only 21 years old, but saw everything in the Republican Party that my mom talked about when I was growing up, and I know what that misogyny and hate does to a family. Over the last 9 years, I've committed my professional career to advancing the Democratic Party and our shared values to make sure that what my mom went through coming up in her career wouldn't happen to others. For the last 5 years, I've led the Party Affairs Department of the state party, and overseeing the implementation of huge advancements of inclusivity, including the passage of formal rules for constituency caucuses, the shift to a fully virtual delegate selection process, our first virtual and hybrid state conventions, and even as recently as this past weekend, administered on behalf of the King County Democrats, the legislative vacancy processes in LDs 33 and 48, which implemented ranked choice voting for the first time. I've worked collaboratively at the state party over the last 5 years, and as the state party affairs department has transitioned into the capable hands of Isabella Maffei, I'm excited to represent our shared values as King County Democrats on the state committee with broad support from King County and leadership across the state. I'm thrilled to have the endorsement of almost 2/3 of King County LD chairs in their personal capacity, including LD1 chair Ken Lapp, 11 Jasmine Inez, 12 Alma Chacon, 30 Sam Rise, 31 Sarah Edwards, 32 Chris Roberts, 33 Jackie Boshek, 34 Graham Murphy, 37 Mary Scanlon, 47 Catherine Williams, and 48 Katie Masoris. I'm also thrilled to have the wide range of support from state committee reps such as outgoing Representative Carmen Rivera, to Dan Santon, to Christine Reeves, as well as elected officials like Claudia Balducci, who has endorsed my candidacy, as well as representatives from the state committee at the committee level, including the co-chairs of the Affirmative Action Committee, Advocacy Committee, Resolutions Committee, Rules Committee, and Technology Committee. I'm excited to get to represent the PCOs of King County and at the State Central Committee, and I humbly ask for your vote and look forward to getting to work. Thank you.
Yeah, and you were like bang on 2 minutes also. Like everybody's a pro today. I really, really appreciate it. All right, we will now vote on electing our male state committee. And actually, I think we're going to have both. We're going to have Lisa in the ballot as well. So we are going to vote on electing state committee members. Do we have that prepared and ready to go to put in the chat, team?
We do, and I will place it shortly. Thanks.
Fantastic. All right, as soon as that gets dumped in the chat, I'm going to start a 5-minute timer. And we are going to hear from Amy Hamrick Lewis, who's going to talk to us about PCOs. And there's the ballot. There's the timer. Amy?
Thanks, Mason. I'm going to share my screen. If I can find the right slide deck. Okay, hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here, for filing as PCOs, for doing the hard work that it takes to get Democrats elected. You are all so very appreciated. Alex Erickson, who was this past term's PCO chair for King County, put together some slides for us that I just want to go through with y'all to show some demographics in our PCOs. So this is the current breakdown of our PCOs by LD. We have a few superstar LDs like 46 that has over 50% of their precinct staffed. We really would like to get all of the rest of the PCOs at least, rest of the LDs at least 50%. Staffed with PCOs in each precinct. Anything above 50% would be a bonus. So we're going to have some ideas this year on how we can get to that benchmark in every LD. You can see here, this is the PCO by voter file age. And so the lighter line on the top is this coming term that just started. So we are getting a bit younger in our PCO age breakdown, which is great. We're always looking to add younger voters into the Democratic Party and get them active. So we really like to see the PCO average age decrease. And this is by gender. So you can see that back in 2009, we had more male PCOs than female. And that got about half and half in 2017. And then in 2019, the women took over. And we have been more than 50% female by PCO since. Some statistics from this past election. 2024 was the first time since 1944 that Democrats have won every statewide office, held both Senate seats, won a majority of U.S. House seats, and won a majority in both chambers of the state legislature. So 2024 may not have been a great result federally, but here in Washington, we are definitely a blue state and we are holding that strong. This is the first time since 1964 we had control of all state executive positions. So again, this was really our year for Democrats in Washington state. Republicans have not netted a seat in either the state house or the Senate since the 2012 election, and they have not netted a U.S. House seat since the 2008 election, and we want to see that trend continue. Washington had the smallest shift to the right of any state in the country. Once everything was tallied, Trump did have a slight, I believe it was just under 1% increase in his vote share. So we really, really did not give him any extra votes here in Washington. The Democrats gained a seat in both chambers of the state legislature, and we defeated the three most dangerous Republican ballot initiatives. So great job to all of you who helped get out the vote and did organizing work in your LD. Just as a reminder, the PCO is the backbone of the Democratic Party. We elect PCOs for each precinct, and then we are organized into legislative district organizations and county organizations. Then we go to the Washington State Democratic Committee, and then the DNC. So every time we vote on somebody above us, we're eventually getting up to craft how we want the DNC to look. So we are the base of the Democratic Party here as elected PCOs. All right, this is a lot of links. This is going to be mailed out to all of you, but there are a lot of training opportunities that are going to be going on this year. One thing that I'm going to ask Melissa to put in the chat by itself is a sign-up genius. If you live in a school district that has a bond or seats up in the school board this year, we are going to do a lot of organizing based around school districts. So we're going to put a sign up genius in the chat. And if you are in one of those school districts and would like to help volunteer, please sign up in that sign up genius. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mason.
And thank you, Amy. All right, tally committee, how are we doing?
We're doing well. We're still having a trickle of ballots coming in. So we could either close it now or keep it going for a couple more moments, couple minutes.
It has been over 5 minutes. I guess I would just ask, is it close enough that a handful more votes could make a difference?
No.
Okay, then I'm comfortable closing it now because it's been 5 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. I will do that. And I will jump back on in just a few moments to let people know the final tally.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So
Hey, Mason, do you mind if I chime in briefly?
I mean, Chair, it's your organization, so chime in away. I'm a temporary host of this thing.
Gratefully appreciating your work there. One thing I'd love to bring to people's attention is the race for the King Conservation District. It is an unusual election because it does not happen with a typical ballot that we receive in our mailbox and we mark and we send back postage paid. In fact, to participate in the King Conservation District election, you need to go to their website. You can now vote digitally, and those digital ballots are received and tabulated by King County Elections, but you have to go to their website. This is the first year that the King Conservation District is using a geographically bound district to elect a district supervisor. We have some in the room right now. In fact, I think Brittany Bush-Boley, who is a PCO, is also a King Conservation District supervisor. So we are involved all over the place, but this new district is in the south part of the county. So I know parts of the 5th LD are in that district, the 11th, I think the 30th, I think the 33rd, maybe the 47th as well. So I urge you to take a look, to connect with your LD chair to find out if indeed you are in that district, and go to their website at the King Conservation District to see if you're part of it, because balloting will be happening soon. It's the end of January through, I think, the first week of February. And we'd really like to show our candidate, who is from rural Auburn, in fact, very close to Black Diamond, all of our support, because he's stepping up big time. So again, everybody take a look at the King Conservation District. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got the ballot closed, and let me go ahead and hit enter here. Oh, I tried to add some spaces. That didn't make it clear. So Lisa Rivera was elected with 91% of the ballots. And then between Drew and Martin, Drew ended up drawing 55% of the vote, Martin Cheney with 43% of the vote. So Drew Estep received more votes and is the elected state committee member.
Congratulations to both Lisa and Drew, and welcome to our new state committee members. We are going to move on to first vice chair. We have two candidates, Eddie Chang and Josh Vaughn. Each are going to get 2 minutes to speak, and we're going to do this over again. Eddie, you're listed first on my sheet. Are you in the Zoom? Do we have Eddie as a panelist?
I am here.
All right, fantastic. Well, we're going to start the timer. You've got 2 minutes.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Love all the work you've done on affordable housing over in Bothell. My name's Eddie Chang. I am running for first vice chair I see the vote counts are a lot higher than it was at the candidate forum the other day. So I'll go over real quickly since I know that I'm newer to most of you here. I previously served as a VP of GA for Seattle King County Realtors, currently serve as VP of Government Affairs for Seattle King County Realtors, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Washington Real Estate Commission appointed by Governor Inslee. I also sit on the board of the Seattle Aquarium. Ethics, code of conduct is important to me. That is something that was stated in the candidate statement. When it comes to the LDs, I previously served as a role for the realtors as a regional rep. And one of the things I did was not wait for phone calls, but every month I called every president of every local association to reach out and listen to them. And I would do the same with all the LDs within King County. And a little bit more about me and how I operate. What's most important to me is everybody's voices are heard. Everybody gets a chance to speak. And one of the mottos of my real estate team that I definitely want to bring forward here is we control the process, not the decision. We are here to support the LDs. We're here to support everybody and make sure that everybody can be the most effective. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Next up is Josh Vaughn.
Okay, and I'm introing Josh.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Taylor. I have served 4 terms now as an officer of this organization under 4 different chairs. I have seen how important the working relationship between chair and vice chair is. There's a reason that our president and vice president are a single line item on our ballot, and the president nominates the cabinet. I served with Josh during my first 2 terms and hope to have your support to work with him again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Your support and your friendship has meant just so much to me throughout the years. I can never repay you for that, so thank you so much. Thank you, Beth, for giving me that call and fairly easily convincing me to come back and see if there was more work to do and seeing how our personalities match and our working styles. Thank you for that, and thank you, PCOs, for doing what you do. Keep voting, keep making your voice heard. We're the backbone. I first became a PCO in 2016 following the first Trump election. That was the 45th legislative district then, and I quickly became, the representative to the young King County Democrats and then to the King County Democrats itself. In 2018, I was elected to the King County Democrats as a vice chair alongside then first vice chair Shasti Conrad and Melissa, as she mentioned, and then again in 2018 as part of a slate that saw Shasti rise as chair. During those years, we updated a bunch of out-of-date rules, and we implemented our very first and extremely important code of conduct. I want to strengthen that further to keep us all safe. We ran the Every Race, Every Place project and made sure to flip seats across the county and even adjoining counties. And we implemented the Fill Every PCO project as well to see the average age of PCO substantially lowered and to see us turn the gender gap on its head. And that's how we win in King County. We fill a spot that's vacant with a Democrat, and we always listen to our youth and empower them in service. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. We should have a ballot getting ready to be posted in the chat here at just about any point in time.
Yep, I'll have it there in just a few seconds. Thank you.
Yes. And all right, during this, we are going to have Anne Udaloy presenting on preparing to act thoughtfully as we head into a possibly tumultuous 2025.
Hi, folks. I think we all understand that hopefully you're seeing share screen at this point. Okay, great. I hope I'll just dig right in. In 2020, we got together celebrating the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and it was still a dumpster fire. We were in the middle of a pandemic. We'd had 4 years of chaos, And unfortunately, even though we've had 4 years of relative stability, we are now going into 4 more years of chaos. This time we can expect it will be worse. And I'll remind you that historians and students of fascism point out that our biggest risk is the failure of imagination, the failure to imagine worst case scenarios. Lesson number 1 from those historians and students of fascism: do not obey in advance. We can expect shock tactics, multiple targets. We know that with their control of the federal government, we will see attacks from the government on immigrants, our LGBTQIA2S+ community, starting with our trans community. Black people, women, community members with mental health, serious medical needs. And, you know, they're going after the teachers, the librarians, the nurses, even the park service. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. It's going to be a tough 4 years. When this happens, and it has happened in many civilizations throughout history and across the globe, our responses matter. If we do not obey in advance, if we stand up, if we resist, we can change what happens. However, to be able to enact change, one of the first things that we're urging you to do is prepare yourself. Especially if you are in Washington State, please update your and your family's identity documents. Birth certificates, passports. If you haven't renewed your passport, do it now before January 21st. I just renewed mine. It took 5 days. It might take longer next year. If you have a normal driver's license or identity card, consider getting an enhanced ID. The reason for this will be explained in a couple minutes. If your identity documents do not match your current name or gender, update them now. This will be very important to some members of our community. If you travel much, consider subscribing to TSA PreCheck, Nexus, or other pre-screening services. The value in these is when you go through a TSA checkpoint, you are less likely to get hand searched. And I personally don't like anyone touching me. I expect others are in the same situation. To me, this is an investment in my mental health and my personal safety. Address your medical needs. Vaccines are available now. There may be issues going forward. Make certain that you and your family are enrolled in healthcare plans. We also will need to support improved state-level healthcare services, and for certain populations, make sure you look at medicines that are essential to you where the supply could be disrupted, including those used for hormone replacement therapy. We are fortunate in our area. There are a number of community organizations like the Seattle Emergency Hub, North Shore Community Emergency Response Team, other groups that are active where we can support community responses in cases of emergencies. We are in a seismically active zone, and weather-related emergencies are more and more frequent and more severe. Being able to help your neighbors, help your family, help yourself is increasingly important. And we cannot assume that FEMA will have the same timely responses that we've observed, for example, to catastrophes like Hurricane Helene, especially, I'm afraid, in states that voted straight Democratic leadership. Bystander intervention tactics are something that we learn. You're not born knowing these. This is a response very much like training yourself in a fire drill. It's important to learn to do this well. It's important to take cues. If you see an individual being harassed, it's important to take cues from that individual about what support is welcome and whether it's welcome from you. Do not assume if you see someone being harassed that you should just call the police. You could be more threatening than that may be an escalation of an already challenging situation. please engage with bystander training consciously, thoughtfully, and practice it thoughtfully. By the way, links for everything I'm talking about will be made available so that you have guidance if you want to follow up. Beth, Mason, would you like me to continue or stop?
I'll just real quick ask the tally committee how they're doing and if they need a little bit more time.
Yeah, we're caught up with queuing, but we're still seeing maybe a new vote every 3 seconds or so.
Okay. And
yeah,
how much longer
so
do you have?
certainly a few more.
Maybe one more minute.
All right, one more minute it is.
There will be protests. Know your rights and also your responsibilities. ACLU provides great guidance. If you are a lawyer, consider being a legal observer. Immigrants, you are going to be targeted. You know this. The laws and rules are not exactly what we have come to believe. Just because we voted for Democrats doesn't mean everything's going to be fine here. Per the ACLU, the CPB can, without a warrant, board vehicles and vessels and search for people and demand immigration documentation. We are within the 100-mile border zone where they may do this without a warrant at any time. That's any plane, any train, any bus, any public transit. That's why I'm urging everyone to update their personal documents and have them with them. The enhanced ID and driver's license serve in lieu of a passport in this situation. You can also get a passport card. I'm just going to move through this. Please look at national organizations for their lead. Thank you.
All right, Marty.
Yes,
Tally
sorry.
committee? There you are.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, let me close this ballot. Okay. And then I will grab the tally. Okay, so with 76.5% of the vote, Josh Vaughn has won election as first vice chair.
Josh, congratulations. Welcome to the team. All right, next up, we have an election for vice chair for communications. We have two candidates. We have Christopher Katz and Fred Mariscal. Fred, I am so sorry if I didn't say that right. And each are going to get 2 minutes to speak. Christopher, are you here?
Yeah, I'm multitasking. I have a cat in my who's trying to do things. Anyway, my name is Christopher Katz, and with Beth's encouragement, I'm running for vice chair for communications. I've worked in news, I make video games for a living, I've acted on stage, and in total I have over 25 years of experience in entertainment. It's given me a lot of opportunities to speak to and interact with audiences across cultures, through language barriers, and in tremendous numbers. It's also afforded me a number of chances to organize and to lead. And I've been the writer behind the King County Democrats email newsletter since last summer, driving volunteer surges in the lead up to last month's election. This position is largely information reporting on meetings and helping us to get to know our candidates and policies, guide people to volunteer opportunities, and so on. Those are extremely important and will be the primary focus of my work. But I see an opportunity for more. I know I'm not the only one who thinks the Democratic Party needs a refresh on its rhetorical playbook. Our own Primala Jayapal has some great thoughts on the matter, for instance. And so I'd like to bring an occasional editorial and educational angle to the position. I want to inspire hope. I think that's something all of us need and probably feels in short supply these days. But I also believe that in this moment, inspiring hope needs to start with being honest about ourselves and being honest about what fighting for our rights must entail. People are angry and overloaded. We cannot ignore that reality or those parts of ourselves. I believe that now must be a time for warriors. So I will arm all of us to fight our rhetorical fight better, bringing stronger and more relatable arguments on our positions to our constituencies and against our opponents. Let me be our voice, and I will do my best to make it loud. Thank you.
All right, Fred, you've got 2 minutes if you'd like to speak as well.
Thank you, Mason. Yeah, I did my name is Fred Mariscal. I'm the communications manager right now for the Chronic Disease and Injury Prevention Unit at Public Health, Seattle and King County. I've been living in Seattle for the past 3 years, currently residing in Ballard. I'm originally from Mexico City. I moved here from Los Angeles, came to the US as a student, so I had to work the whole immigration process. I finally became a citizen in 2009 and ran for the city council in Los Angeles in 2013. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ plus community and serve in different boards too, including the Human Rights Campaign. I hold a degree in communications from USC in LA. During my time in LA, I was founder of the first communications vice president of the Young Stonewall Democratic Club. I also serve as Vice President of Finance for the California Young Democrats and Vice President of Communications for the Stonewall Democratic Club in LA, where I successfully revamped their website. I'm passionate about continuing to serve the party and my country in this capacity, reaching more voters, and ensuring that they understand our policies that we've been talking about, encourage them also to vote. I think one of the main reasons we lost is that we as a party leaders need to communicate better why we are the party that will improve people's lives. Thank you.
All right. I think we're out of presentations for you during the 5-minute wait, so this one's going to be a little bit quieter, but the link to vote should be going into the chat here real soon, and then the timer will start, and we'll vote. And there it is. Ah, Melissa has a video. Let's see.
While Melissa cues her video, I'd like to draw everybody's attention to the School District Power Up team sign up. We have a lot of work to do, as Claire mentioned at the beginning of our event today. Senator Wilson was 100% right. School districts are ground zero for how we raise thoughtful, democratically minded, well, let's just say educated young voters. So if you would like to do anything at all to participate in helping elect school board officials, support school board levies, get the word out, please go to the Sign Up Genius. Thank you.
All right, let's see if this works.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. On Christmas Eve, 103 years ago, my grandfather waited in a dark and dank cell. He sailed by steamship across the Pacific Ocean from India to America, leaving behind colonial rule. But when he landed on American shores, immigration officials saw his dark skin, his tall turban worn as part of his Sikh faith, and saw him not as a brother, but as foreign, as suspect, threw him behind bars where he languished for months. Until a single man, a white man, a lawyer named Henry Marshall, filed a writ of habeas corpus that released him Christmas Eve, 1913. My grandfather, Kehar Singh, became a farmer, free to practice the heart of his Sikh faith, love and oneness. And so when his Japanese American neighbors were rounded up and taken to their own detention camps in the deserts of America, he went out to see them when no one else would. He looked after their farms until they returned home. He refused to stand down. That's right. In the aftermath of September 11th, when hate violence exploded in these United States and a man that I called uncle was murdered, I tried to stand up. I became a lawyer like the man who freed my grandfather, and I joined a generation of activists fighting detentions and deportations, surveillance and special registration, hate crimes and racial profiling. And after 15 years, with every film, with every lawsuit, with every campaign, I thought we were making the nation safer for the next generation. And then my son was born. On Christmas Eve, I watched him ceremoniously put the milk and cookies by the fire for Santa Claus. And after he went to sleep, I then drank the milk and ate the cookies. I wanted him to wake up and see them gone in the morning. I wanted him to believe in a world that was magical. But I am leaving my son a world that is more dangerous than the one that I was given. Because we are raising a brown boy in America. A brown boy who may someday wear a turban as part of his faith. And in America today, as we enter an era of enormous rage, as white nationalists hail this moment as their great awakening, as hate acts against Sikhs and our Muslim brothers and sisters are at an all-time high, I know that there will be moments, whether on the streets or in the schoolyard, where my son will be seen as foreign, as suspect, as a terrorist. Just as black bodies are still seen as criminal. Brown bodies are still seen as illegal. Trans bodies are still seen as immoral. Indigenous bodies are still seen as savage. The bodies of women and girls seen as someone else's property. And when we see these bodies not as brothers and sisters, then it becomes easier to bully them, to rape them, to allow policies that neglect them, that incarcerate them, that kill them. Yes, Rabbi. The future is dark. On this New Year's Eve, this watch night, I close my eyes and I see the darkness of my grandfather's cell. And I can feel the spirit of ever-rising optimism in the Sikh tradition, Chardi Kala, within him. And so the mother in me asks, what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America... What if our America is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers or grandmothers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault? What if they're whispering in our ear today, tonight, you are brave? What if this is our nation's great transition? What does the midwife tell us to do? Breathe. And then, because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Tonight, we will breathe. Tomorrow, we will labor in love, through love, and your revolutionary love is the magic we will show our children. Vai Guruji ka Khalsa, Vai Guruji ki Fateh.
Tally committee, how we doing?
Good. Looks like we are complete with the vote, and it looks like, let me just drop this into chat. So with 64.2% of the vote, Christopher Katz has been elected as the Vice Chair for Communications.
Congratulations, Christopher. Welcome to the team. I also just want to say, Melissa, if you're going to drop a video in a meeting where I have to talk immediately after the video, could you give me a warning if it's that good? Because that is a
so
hard
welcome.
act to follow.
You're so welcome.
All right, there are 4 more positions, and none of those were contested. So I also want to welcome Diana Phillips as the treasurer, Andrew Ashiofu is the vice chair for outreach, Ricky Klein is the secretary, and Melissa Taylor is the vice chair of fundraising to the team. And that concludes our election of officers today. So, Beth, did you want to give a closing statement?
Absolutely. As most of you who know me from my work in endorsements at King County or at the 5th LD or from so many Canvas launches, you will know I've always got an extra word. So I have promised to keep it minimal, but I do want to once again put in a plug for participating in King Conservation District election if this is your district. Otherwise, look at next year or the year after because you're coming around. Then please take a look at that Sign Up Genius sign up. We need everybody to get together to support our schools. Our children are where we all began. We were each once a child. Let's make sure we're doing our best for their educational experience. Next up, legislative district reorganizations are next month, and it's a compressed timeline because the state meeting is a week earlier than we thought. So get ready to vote, get ready to step up. If you were not elected tonight, this is not your only chance. If you thought, I can do what that gal's doing on the screen. Yes, you can is the answer. And we want to make sure that you elevate yourself within your LD. There are so many opportunities to lead. And every single one of us needs many committees of hard workers to get this work done. We've got a lot coming up. Melissa, I see you're on screen. It probably means that you have something to add. Would you like to take a moment?
Yes. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the school district power teams. Beth and I have been brainstorming. None of this is absolutely final. We absolutely welcome other people's thoughts, input, and for sure cannot actually do it without all of you. But the idea is that Moms for Liberty has been taking over school districts all across this country, and I want not one single foot in King County. And in order to do that with 20 school districts, we need people to adopt those school districts. We need you to start figuring out right now whether you like the school board directors who are currently in those seats and are up for election, and if they're planning to run again. So that's step number one. Step number two is if we are going to have an empty seat or we need to challenge, we need to profile those races and recruit new candidates. So if you would like to learn how to profile races and recruit and vet candidates, even if you're not that interested in school districts, but those are things you want to learn, please sign up. I am going to teach you how to do this. Additionally, I am looking forward to raising over $100,000 for King County Democrats this year. And I want to put a bunch of that money behind these school districts. I want to promise school district candidates in small jurisdictions that we are going to be with them every step of the way, that we are going to help them with their websites. We are going to help them get a professional photo. We're going to help them get a great voter pamphlet statement, because we know that that is the #1 communication tool in these elections. Additionally, sort of combining with what Amy was talking about earlier, is we need more PCOs. So we have 1,200 now. We need 1,500 more as part of this effort to make sure that the Moms for Liberty does not get a single foothold here, is recruiting more PCOs. And so it's running canvases to actually recruit PCOs. So if this is something that sounds fun and exciting, if this is a way that you want to help your community, I would really love to have 7 solid people signed up for each of the 20 school districts. There's 374 people still here. Thank you so much for being here. If you can't volunteer to help with this, but you have money that you could put towards it, if you could put a Starbucks coffee towards it or a cable bill amount towards it, if you could go to kingcountydems.org and become a monthly donor and start helping us build our school board defense fund, I would really, really appreciate it. Beth and I have been talking about trainings. We have some ideas on the types of trainings that we would like to do, but also we would love feedback on the types of training, whether it's leadership training or communications training, if it's canvassing training or volunteer management. If you want to be like Scott Forbes and become a parliamentarian, there can be training for that. Similarly, for all of the various functions that we're doing, here's what I know. We are going to have a lot of curveballs thrown at us this year. And the thing that will make our community resistant is when we are well organized. Being well organized means each of us needs to figure out our place and how we plug in. I hope that the Democratic Party becomes a place that many people can plug in, but that only happens if you, who are the cornerstone of our party, help us make this happen. Help us reach the people in your neighborhoods, in your communities. Help us figure out what is happening on your school board. We need people to go to those school districts. If you're already going to school board meetings, we definitely want to talk to you. So I hope that gives people some of the details. Beth, how would you feel if I opened up the chat so that people could interact, or wait for good of the order?
I think it's a good time for good of the order. And I think
Okay, we can change it.
Jason's about to take us there.
I am, and I just wanted to say real quick to the body, thank you so much for spending a little bit over an hour and a half with us today working on reorg. I really appreciate your commitment to democracy and just showing up and doing the work, even when it's not terribly exciting, because changing the world seems to happen in boring meetings way more often than I would like it to. So I'm really excited for the next 2 years of the King County Democrats, and also excited to go play with my kids while it's still light outside. So I'm going to open it up for good of the order, and
we'll
there
open
it
the
is.
chat. Thank you. Thank you, Mason. Really appreciate your help today. Looking forward
My
to
pleasure. Thank you, Beth.
Looking forward to seeing everybody in January at all of your LD reorganizations. I hope to be at as many of them as is physically possible, or Zoom possible. With the chat open, I can yammer or I can read. So Melissa, I'd love it if you could take a look at that chat and see if there's something that we can address.
Yeah, expected time commitment for the school district power teams. I think that it's really going to vary, and it depends on how many people sign up. More hands, lighter work. But my expectation of what it takes is, it takes going to the school board meetings, which usually are monthly. It takes meeting with candidates, which is usually 30, 45 minutes. It takes lots of phone calls and emails. But I think that you can make a meaningful difference to your school districts with 5 to 10 hours of investment. So if you have 5 to 10 hours of time that you're willing to invest in this, please put your name on that list. A link to donate. What kind of fundraising vice chair am I that I have not put in a link to donate? Let me get that for you right now.
In the meanwhile, many of us in King County Dems are involved and already liaising with community groups. And I see one member commented about Indivisible in particular. So we're relying on our members to bring those good practices forward and to cross-pollinate. But I think you'll find that Andrew Ashiafu, as our new outreach chair, will be doing a lot of outreach to community groups like Indivisible, as well as everything under the sun across the county. He is going to be a busy man. If outreach is something you really enjoy, or if you're involved in multiple community groups, please reach out to me and Andrew, because we would like you to be a part of that effort. Thank you.
There's a question, will we have a face-to-face meeting? Yes, we are so excited about that. So Amy Hamrick, who you heard from earlier, is going to be our PCO chair. We're hoping to get regional PCO leads to help coordinate this work. And so we will start having in-person PCO gatherings early next year. We are going to have a big fundraiser sometime in March or April, and I am hoping to fill a room with 500 great Democrats. And then I imagine that there will be other training opportunities. Our goal is to really create a lot of opportunities for us to get together in person, but we feel committed to that for things where you are exercising your right to vote, that it is fully accessible for everybody. Let's see. Is there a place to find out the dates of the reorgs? Yes, on the meeting hub page, I think if you scroll to the bottom, it's either on the reorganization page or the reorganization meeting hub. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll get the list, the dates for the reorgs. Lots of thank yous to Mason. Great job, Mason. Well-run meeting. Let's see. Let's see, are we recruiting public school students to get involved with these? I would love, if you know public school students, I would love to get them involved. Moncadingra does an amazing job of getting school students involved in her campaigns, and I would love to figure that out and make that happen for our broader Democratic efforts. Let's see. I know Beth is going to try to make it to as many LD reorgs as she can. Some of them are currently creating lots of scheduling challenges. Oh, there was a question about, were you referring to hours per month when I said 5 to 10? No, I actually mean between, so we basically have from now until May to get people to file. And in that time, I am asking for 5 to 10 hours during that time period. And if we have 7 people doing 10 hours each, we've got 70 hours of work. And I think we can get great school board candidates with 70 hours of work from y'all. Yeah, it didn't mean to make it sound overwhelming. But literally between now and May, if you think you have 5 to 10 hours to put into school district races, again, there is no shortage of work you could do, and I have lots of ideas, but that is sort of what I would expect for that to look like. I did drop a link to donate.
And
Chris,
a big thank you to Kat for popping in the link of the list of all the LD reorg dates. It's a long one. So scroll around in the chat and check that out.
All right, let me grab this. Let's see. Wow, the chat's going crazy. I'm having a hard time keeping up. Somebody wanted the link to sign up for the school districts. I just posted that. Then somebody was asking, volunteering for a school district team outside of where you live. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and adopt another school district. Some of these districts need more volunteers. Seattle has 6 LDs in it and some of the highest ACO staffing. So if you are in Seattle, especially, you can make a huge difference in one of the other school districts, and we would love to have your help. You do not need to be in it. The speaker is Valerie Carr from the video. So it's Valerie Carr at the Watch Night service.
There's a question about how to connect with the new KCD officers that were elected today. And I think that will take us a day or two to transfer over who receives the typical email address, like chair@kcdems.org, is currently not coming to me, but it will shortly, along with all of the other email aliases. Melissa, can you tell me, is there something for like outreach or should all of those questions come through the chair email and I can redirect?
Yeah, let's bring them in through the chair email just for simplicity today. Then we can figure out the rest of it. I have some of the candidates who have just won election wondering if they can speak. So I think, yes, Andrew was the one who asked, but I think if any of the other candidates who won elections want to say thank you or a few words, I think that would be super appropriate right now.
I think that would be for the good of the order.
Yes, that is what we are doing right now. Let's see, it's Andrew, he's
just made it over to panel.
Okay.
And you're muted.
There you go.
You're good set now. Hey, Andrew.
I want to say thank you to everyone for your support. I am really looking forward to working with everyone. And one of my goals is outreach is not just during midterms or presidential election. Outreach is every day, 365 days a year, constantly. And one thing I'm really looking forward to is outreaching to communities that are ignored, outreach to communities that are underrepresented, and also through outreach, raise leaders that represent every one of us here in King County and build our blue wall and solidify it. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm looking, I'm not seeing.
All right, Diana, Drew, did Drew come over?
Not yet. I can search for folks. Give me a heads up on who's wanting the mic right over.
It can make it easier for Chris to find you in the attendees list if you raise your hand. So if you have won election and you want to come talk to folks,
And if you don't, that's fine too.
That's fine too. I'd love to give people another opportunity to pop something into chat. And that is, if you have a particular skill that can really help us, like, are you a WordPress expert? Do you know project management skills? Are you also a fundraiser? You might not know, but I spent my career doing fundraising. So Melissa and I are going to have a bang up time. And we truly mean to fund these races. So if you're thinking that maybe your special skill is you want to be a school board director or you want to run for city council, come on down. We'd like to talk to you about that. But if you do have one of those skills, pop a little note into the chat or send it to chair@kcdems.org because we'd like to talk to you.
Lisa, I see your hand up there.
Yeah, it won't let me start my video, so I can talk if you can hear me. Oh, there we go. Okay,
We can hear you. Oh,
here's my video. Hello.
and now
Hi.
we can see you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get to talk earlier because I didn't have a competitor, which was great, but at the same time sad because I didn't get to talk and introduce myself and say hi, and how excited I am to work with Beth and Josh and the whole team of people and Drew. And so just again, thank you for your support, everybody who attended today. I know it's taken a bite out of your Sunday, but it's worth it because this is important work that we're all doing, and I'm excited to be doing it with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Really excited to have you step up and lead in this way. Really appreciate that. And I am just pumped. I'm seeing volunteers already popping up in the chat saying they can help with this, they can help with that. This is going to be fantastic. And is there anything else for good? Oh, yes.
Oh, we've got Drew,
Yeah,
I
let's
think,
go
is
ahead.
next up.
Drew, followed by Josh. Thank you.
Can I get a video on request? There we go. Thank you. Thanks so much. I'll be very brief. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to working with you, Beth, and the rest of the leadership team coming into King County. It's going to be a hard 2 and then 4 years, but I'm really looking forward to the work we're going to do together. And thank you all to the PCOs on this work. You should all have my email at this point from the notes I sent out. Please feel free to send me a note anytime. I'm always happy to talk. Thank you so much and look forward to getting to work.
Awesome, Drew. Thank you very much. Thank you for stepping up to lead and stepping up to represent King County at the state level. Josh, it is your turn.
Sure, looks like my video also isn't allowed here. There we go, and we have it. Thanks, everyone. Just want to thank you for your confidence and your vote. We're going to get busy right away with committees. The committees that the first vice chair is supposed to leave include the Legislative District Organization Support Committee. So if you want to come together with me to visit all of the LDs and work with the leadership as well as the members on the ground, the PCOs, like most of us here, let me know. My email is also out there from a note I sent out last night. It's joshuavaughn@gmail. It's pretty easy to remember. And the other one, of course, is the Bylaws Committee. Basically, the bylaws we have now, not bylaws, code of conduct. The code of conduct we have now, it's good, but I really want to strengthen it and make it better and make an example we can use all over the party. Because, if with the Supreme Court and with the current administration coming in, I think we can serve as an example of how to keep party members and folks safe, and hopefully it trickles to actual elected officials and organizations as well. So again, thank you very much. Ready to get to work, and I'm excited to meet all of you and get to know each other a lot better. Thank you.
Outstanding. Josh, thank you so much. And thank you for coming on camera. It's always nice to see a smiling face. I appreciate it. And without further ado, I want, with deep gratitude to Jeremy Barksdale, who's done so much to lead over these past 2 years, and especially heading into this meeting. Jeremy, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. First, I just want to congratulate all of our newly elected officers. Thank you so much for putting your hat in and committing to serve King County Democrats. I also want to thank our outgoing officers who have been engaged throughout the past 2 years in making us the party that we are at the county level, especially. I also have to extend a deep amount of gratitude to Kat and Melissa, who have helped over these past few months as we were going through transitions, helping us, as I've said it, land the plane. and getting ready for today and many of the other meetings that you've seen happen over the past couple months. I do just want to say congratulations to you too, Beth, specifically. When I was first vice chair, I nominated, and I'm so grateful for your acceptance as one of the endorsement co-chairs. And so glad to see you progressing into the leadership role. So thank you so much for committing to lead the party. Thank you, everybody, and all the volunteers for your commitment throughout the 2 years.
And this is how it happens. We look at who steps forward to lead and we ask them to do a little more and a little more and a little more. And Jeremy, look what you started. Darn it. Thanks for that. It does give me the opportunity to give a huge shout out to our incredible King County endorsement team, which has dozens of people working year round. If getting to know candidates is something that inspires you and interests you, oh my gosh, please connect, because we need all hands on deck. We're going to see hundreds of candidates in the coming year. It'll be a lot easier in year 2. But this year is also super important because we are electing a new county executive. That hasn't happened for 12 years. So if you're intrigued in how to get involved in that and how to participate in our endorsement process, please let me know, and I'll direct you in the right place. Thank you so much. I'd love to ask everybody to come on camera. We're going to have a couple more hands up, I'm sure, but I'd like to see, I just love it when it's like stars lighting up in the sky when everybody comes on and we can all see each other's faces and our smiles and show our gratitude just with how we're looking at our camera for the work that was done today, for the work that we did this past month, for the work over the last 2 years. And know that moving forward, these are our compatriots. This is your crew. These are your peeps. And together we're going to do it. One last call for good of the order. Any other thoughts?
Say, Beth, sorry, I've been trying to back channel you, but as it happens, you're on camera, so you're not available for that. We have had several people whose hands have been raised for quite a while. I don't know if you have time to take a couple of questions.
Absolutely do. I am so glad that you brought that to my attention. In fact, since you can see that list more easily than me, could you maybe call them in order?
Sure. Elena Rumiantseva?
Yes.
Of the 48?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, congratulations, Beth, and everybody. But my mother had she couldn't vote. Her chat was empty, so she didn't get the links at all. And I actually I called her on video and looked at her screen, so I can. I'm a witness that she didn't have anything in there. And I was wondering if, I mean, I understand her one vote would not really change any outcomes, but I'm wondering if anybody else had the same problem, couldn't vote. Because that's a concern should be addressed somehow. I know it's technical, but.
Thank you, Elena. I really appreciate that. We'll look into that, and I'll make sure that we connect with you and your mom afterwards to make certain that that we understand what happened and avoid it in the future, because that's really important. We need to.
And I emailed the appropriate email address, and they didn't get back to me. So
thank you, thank you, thank you. Martin, looks like Martin has his hand up. And I can see in my text messaging that some Zoom screens are frozen, so Martin might be frozen also. Martin, are you able to join us?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just doesn't show my pictures. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to take an opportunity to congratulate Drew on his great campaign and on becoming your state committee member. And I wanted to thank the people who supported me. I just wanted to emphasize here that that we have these internal party elections, but we are all on the same team, and I sincerely wish Drew the best in integrating with the rest of Beth's leadership team. And I know that I will be working with him and with all the rest of you as we move forward, because we all have a lot of work to do. And again, thank you to the people who did decide to support me. And I am just really indebted to the huge amount of work that many people put into on my behalf. We will figure out an appropriate way to have a nice thank you party for all of you.
Beautifully timed once again, Martin. That is one of your secret skills that we did not know. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Beth, I'm gonna jump in real quick here. We finished our business about 20 minutes ago. We've had a good bit of good of the order. I'm gonna suggest that we limit the remaining folks that talk to people who have won office and want to address the body. How does that land with you?
Okay, sure. I'm seeing hands stay up and some hands come down. So I don't see any that are candidates. Perhaps people could put their thoughts into the chat real quickly and we can.
I believe Ricky has his hand up. Ricky?
Looks down.
I'm bringing him over to the panel now.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
He had declined earlier to be a panelist, so he just might not have been in a place to be at a video, or he might decline again. So just
Accepted this time, should be here moment.
Chair, we do have a motion to adjourn.
And we have a second. I'm going to ask if anybody has an objection to that.
Ricky, our newly elected secretary.
Hi. Sorry, I had prepared to speak if I had a challenger, and I don't really have. But just to introduce myself, I'm from the Seattle area. I went to school at Bailey Gatzer and BFJ, and then went to school in Renton. I studied at the Joffrey Ballet School, and I danced here locally at Seattle Opera and Fifth Avenue and Black Nativity, among other places. And while I was doing that, I was voted by my fellow dancers and performers and stagehands to represent them and the board at AGMA, which is the American Guild of Musical Artists. And some things that will translate from there to here, I was on the team that helped edit the minutes of the meeting before dissemination to the larger body. And I was also on a team that helped edit and publish their membership handbook. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm so happy for everyone that won. And thank you to be here in the room with all you Democratic PCOs that are taking your time to be a part of democracy. And thank you, Beth, for including me in this. And I'm just excited to get to work. So thank you. That's all.
Yay. Thank you, Ricky. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I'm noticing that some of the folks whose hands were raised now have noted some comments in the chat. And so perhaps we should leave it at that. My email is always open, as you guys know, because you have all heard from me probably 3 times this last week. And we can address that request and second to adjourn the meeting. Is that in order, Mason?
Yep, that's in order. Does anybody object? I'm going to ask you to put it in the Q&A, not the chat. All right, I see no objections. So by acclamation, I'm going to declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your time and congratulations to our new officers.
Thank you, Mason, for a
Thanks,
great
everybody.
meeting.
Thank you.
We did 2 hours.
Yep.
With good of the order. Look at that. Trying to see if there's any other questions in the chat that we should try. We can gather all the links here and send out an email. Hey, Chris Katz, guess what you can do?
Yes. Hi.
So yeah,
Chris, I think I caught everything in the minutes, all the presentations. Melissa, I just didn't get your link.
The video one?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Anne and the other Amy, are both of your presentations in the meeting folder so that I have a link that we can make sure that we can replicate?
I tried to move mine, but it wouldn't let me when I made a list of all of the Google folders that I had access to, that one was grayed, a bunch of them, but that one specifically was grayed out. So it's still in the PCO recruitment
Let me add you
main
as
folder. So if you can help me.
Okay, let me add you as an editor to that folder, and that should enable you to do that.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Chris is asking if anything else is needed from him before he steps.
No, thank you so much, Chris.
What's wrong with you? You
My
can't
documents.
Congrats to
I'm gonna
everybody.
need a picture of his Lego creation that he's competing with.
It's a whole team. Kind of cool.
Oh,
They're
wow.
high school, so they've been working up to this moment, and they're down in Federal Way. So I'm gonna go try and catch what I can.
Absolutely.
cool.
So great. Good luck and have fun.
Appreciate it. Take it easy, y'all.
Bye, Chris. Anne and Amy, you should be able to add, edit, move, and delete and share content in the folder already. Amy, it's your A. Hamrick Lewis email.
Yeah,
So I
actually,
put my slides in there. And what I'll do is remove the stuff that was draft.
Okay, because the link you shared was different than the link that's what the reason I'm asking is because I pulled the link from the folder, but it looked like the link you shared might have been a different link. So I just want to make sure I get the right one in the meeting minutes.
No worries. I put the one that I shared is from my personal Google Drive so that I could facilitate giving access to it without inadvertently giving somebody access to something I didn't know about, because Google can be funny that way.
Okay, so we're going to share the one that's in the supplemental meeting.
That's fine.
Items folder. Okay. Okay, how do we still have a hand raised? Call in user.
Jeremy, I wanted to say thank you because you thanked all the other people who had served, and somebody started talking immediately after you, so I didn't jump in and interrupt them. But thanks for your service. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah,
it has been a couple of years. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who kept the wheels on.
Absolutely. Everything went very smoothly. Well done.
Okay, Amy, are you able to move that in yet?
I'm trying to see if I can do it by copying the link because it won't let me move from the.
You want to make me an editor of your file and maybe I can add it? I don't know.
Yes, that
Maybe
would
I
be
can
great.
move it? Or make a copy and move it, something like that.
Yeah, I made it. I'm trying to move the copy. It looks
I'll
like
tell
you
what,
are an editor. Here,
let
I'm going to
everybody
put it in chat.
go. Let's let everybody go and I will call you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
have a
Are we
relax.
still live streaming? Hello, world. Hello.
Oh, let me stop the live stream.
Yeah.
Kat, I put it in chat.
And there's
I
still
think you're
38
already an editor.
attendees. They probably walked away from their computer, but you know.
Long ago.